Awesome. So yeah, dude, tell me about yourself. Where you grew up in Texas in Abilene, right?
I did. Yep.
Okay.
Born and raised in Abilene. And dad worked for an orphanage there. Mom worked for the government. Have a one twin brother.
Okay.
He lives in San Antonio now.
Okay.
And
Are you guys pretty close?
I'd say we're close, but we don't talk every day or every week. Maybe
Okay.
once a month or so.
Okay.
He's not a big talker.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Would you consider yourself a talker?
I feel like I can be a
You're in
little
the
bit of
middle.
both. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I would say about you as well.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So what was it like growing up with a twin brother? Did you guys do any of the classic parent trap switching or anything?
Yeah.
Y'all look alike, by the way?
Yeah. So we're fraternal, so we could never get away with that.
Okay.
We did go to school with some twin girls who were exactly alike, and you could not tell them a difference.
Yeah. You guys didn't have that benefit though.
No. So, but yeah, I mean, we don't read each other's thoughts. We've got a little bit different
superpowers?
personality. No superpowers. We don't look alike.
That's interesting.
And
Same size?
he's a little bit smaller.
Okay. You're a tall guy.
He's better at golf than me.
Okay.
I can take him in basketball.
You're left-handed. Is he?
He's right-handed. We have epic ping pong matches
I bet.
when we go back for Christmas and holidays.
Your parents still live in Abilene?
They do. They do. Yep. So they live in Abilene. Dad just retired, and now they're kind of traveling. And
What did he do for an orphanage? That's an interesting job.
he was the president of Hendrick Home for Children.
Okay.
And they were they're a private funded. It's a children's home. Most of them do have parents, so it's not technically an orphanage, but
Okay.
they don't get their funding from a state. They basically, their endowment came from the oil and gas, a wealthy oil and gas individual who kind of set the foundation up.
Okay. That's cool.
And so they've been doing that. He did that for most of his career. And they kind of they do a single mothers program because they get more bang for their buck.
Okay.
So they kind of do those in tandem now.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
And he just retired?
Just retired.
Cool. Are they going to stay in Abilene?
They've got a little place by the lake in Brownwood.
Okay.
So they like to go there. They like to go to Ruidoso, New Mexico, and pick cherries and do different things up there. So I think my dad's plan is to not be in Abilene more than he has to.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of my parents. They live in Southeast Texas and they just retired and they travel. They bought an RV a couple years ago and they're always gone. They're always they're always somewhere else, That's home base for them. I think it probably always will be, but they're trying to get it out as much as possible. So they have not taken that RV all the way up here yet. I wish they would. That'd be fun. But yeah, man, cool. So, and then you went to Texas Tech. How did you decide on Texas Tech?
So I worked for a lot of people at Texas Tech. I went down to Texas A&M, so we were rivals with Texas Tech. And
you went to Tech.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you went to A&M. That's right.
So I'm an Aggie.
Okay.
So if you have to repeat a few things today
No,
say
no.
it slowly.
Justin's an Aggie too.
Okay.
Gig him.
That's awesome.
He's what do you call yourself? He calls himself. He's not like a 2%. He's one of the 2%.
I'm probably a 1%er.
Oh wow.
So I mean, I enjoy it. I enjoyed going to A&M. I don't think we're that much different than any other state school.
Yeah.
You can find whatever you want at a large university. I still root for them. Like in basketball this year, they didn't make it past the first round, or
Yeah.
But I still wanted them to
You
go
didn't
far.
cry or
I didn't
anything.
cry.
Okay.
I haven't been to a football game in a decade.
Okay.
But I mean,
Yeah.
I enjoyed my time there.
Sure. Yeah. It has a lot to offer. I like the traditions. I went to Midnight Yale one time. I dated a girl briefly that was there and it was a lot of fun, man. I kind of was like, I was in my junior year of college and I was kind of like, dang, I messed up. I should have come here. I thought that this would have been a lot more fun. I went to like a tiny private Christian school and just what A&M had to offer, just the scale of it all and like the traditions. I was really into it. Of course, if I had gone, I might not have been as into it, but
yeah,
it was fun.
I mean, I had a lot of experiences. I sat next to a bunch of core guys who smelled, because they never washed their uniform. And, Reveille, our mascot, almost bit me coming out of class one day. So the mascot was kind of mean.
Yeah.
I felt like, it was more of a research institution, especially on the engineering side.
Oh, yeah.
And like I had to teach myself as to, if I wanted to learn anything as opposed to the professor. So, my favorite thing about college, I was involved with Young Life there. And so that was my favorite thing more than anything else. And then I ended up getting a degree, which helped. But
yeah, I want to talk about Young Life a little bit. What school? Did you do high school ministry?
So I did Young Life a little bit in high school, just as a participant, and then went to summer camps.
Okay. Which camp
a
did you
couple
go to?
times. We went out, not Windy Gap, but it was on the East Coast, South Carolina, and North Carolina.
Okay. I don't remember the name.
And I have since forgotten the name.
Yeah, it's okay.
And then got to college, and we'd go to Frontier Ranch to do work week, and then take kids basically there every year. But I was a leader at A&M Consolidated there in College Station, and did that for about 3 years and loved it. That was one of my favorite things about college.
Yeah. No, I did all through college as well. And then right after college, I kind of helped start it. I mean, it was kind of going when I got there, and then ours was very informal. Like y'all had like a system probably, and like training leaders, and like there was like it was a machine, right? Ours was just like, we kind of made it up as we went. Like it was a couple in a little town one town over who just wanted Young Life in their community. And so they were just doing the whole thing. We were just meeting in their barn. Like I didn't even know there was like area directors. I didn't know there was like anybody above us really. We were just doing our own thing. And every now and then someone from like the region would show up and talk to me like once a year and be like, how's it going? I'm like, I don't know. We're just kicking along, kind of making it up as we go. And he's like, all right, well, keep doing that. That's great. We'll see you next year. So we formalized it after I graduated college, and I became area director and went on full-time staff. And it became a little more formal, but there was a 3 or 4 year gap when I was in college there, like running it, like we were just doing our own thing. It was kind of wild, actually, now that thinking back, some of the stuff we were doing, like not what you would normally do in a Young Life. But anyways, that was really fun. So you went through training and everything? Was that a 1 year or 2 year training program?
I think the training was about 1 year and in college, and then spent the next 3 years kind of being a leader. We would take kids on camps. And then, I looked back and graduated, and like my roommate became an area director in Oklahoma. A lot of my friends from Abilene went on staff and became area directors in Fort Worth and in Abilene.
I bet we know a lot of the same people.
Like Brian Leveretts. I don't know if you ever ran into him.
I know Leveretts. We did a couple assignments together. Yeah. We actually came on full-time staff at the same time, so we went through training. I know Brian really well. Yeah.
Okay. And then Josh Dillender was my roommate in college. Yeah. So
cool. Okay. Yeah. I know both of those guys pretty well. We all kind of started full-time staff at the exact same time. When did you graduate college?
Undergrad was 2007, but I stuck around for a master's and got out in 2010 for that.
Okay. Yeah. Let's talk about your degrees, because you did petroleum engineering. What was your bachelor's in and then your master's?
Yeah. So, I mean, coming out of high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. But, at that time, Texas had, if you're in the top 10%, you could get in automatically to any state school. Were you a good student in high school? Yeah. I mean, I was number 2, so it was that salutatorian. Yeah. And my brother always
don't act like you don't know.
Always razzed me.
You know what it's called.
Well, valedictorian was number 1, so I was salutatorian number 2. And my brother always told me, yeah, some girl beat you for number 1. So she went on to University of Texas, and then I came to Texas A&M. My brother went to Baylor.
Okay.
And didn't know what I wanted to do. Did general studies for a few years. Thought I might want to go, to law school or medical school. Took a Great Diseases of the World class, and was like, almost failed it. And was like, it went to a hospital, and everyone was sick and dying. I was like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, that's tough.
And I couldn't really understand anything medical related, and so I defaulted to just civil engineering because my roommate from Abilene, his dad ran a civil engineering firm in Abilene. So
you thought that looked cool?
Thought that looked cool. Spent 4 years doing that. When I got out, got a job offer to go design wastewater treatment plants in Lufkin, Texas, which was far east.
Yeah.
And it was basically like designing sewer pipes, and you were sizing it for how big the manure and the poop was coming through. I was like, what am I doing? Like, why do I want to do this full time?
Yeah.
And really loved the kids in Young Life, and they were juniors. So I was trying to figure out any way to stick around.
That's cool.
Applied to MBA school at A&M, and then petroleum engineering school was right next door to the civil engineering building. We were in a small building. They were in a very large building, and I thought they have to have more money over there than we have over here.
Yeah.
Got into the petroleum engineering school, and then finished out my Young Life time.
Was that an easy transition from civil to petroleum? Was there a lot of overlap?
There was some. I would say petroleum is a little bit less robust on the calculation side.
Okay.
And people more go into it because they want want to get out and make good money when the oil price is good, as opposed to like mechanical engineering where you have to take thermodynamics and Cal 3 and my main thing was just get through the classes. I wasn't a C student, I wasn't an A student, I was more like a B.
Gotcha.
So
petroleum engineer is less intense on the academic side. You think so?
I felt that way.
Yeah.
If you put me in front of the petroleum department, I'm not going to tell them that.
Sure.
But
we'll make sure they don't see this.
Yeah. And then on the master's side, when you go from undergrad to master's, you're talking more international students, right? Because most of the American undergrad petroleum students are out getting jobs.
Okay.
And the people in masters are coming from international because they want a U.S. degree, they want a job, that kind of thing.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't think about that. So then after college, and so your wife's name is
Ina. Yep.
And when did you guys meet? Did y'all meet in school?
No. I was actually scared of girls in college.
Okay.
I still am scared of girls.
I don't believe that for a second. You're such a smooth talker. I don't believe that.
So I didn't really date much in college. Really, rejection. Was
you were busy with Young Life. There weren't any.
That's right.
There had to be some cute Young Life leader girls.
Yeah,
there always is.
Yeah, that's why I joined Young Life.
Yeah. I mean, they're like the best. They're what I call manic pixie dream girls. They're just like they're super cute, fun, bubbly, energetic. And
then just don't want to date you. It's
yeah, that's true. I had that problem too. So,
but yeah, didn't get married. I mean, didn't really date then, didn't really get married for another 10 years.
Okay.
And so went overseas and lived in, A&M had a branch campus in the Middle East in Doha, Qatar. So I finished 1 year of master's at A&M in College Station, then spent 2 years overseas in Doha, Qatar, writing a thesis on the North Gas Field in Qatar. Exxon's over there, Shell's over there. They run large multinational projects. The government of Qatar funded the research program, and they have a $10 million education city.
Wow.
And so spent 2 years over there.
So that was like more of a hands-on. You were also doing research, but it was also a lot of hands-on experience.
Hands-on in terms of like reservoir simulation, and then hands-on in terms of we just would take that time to travel all over the world. We were single, didn't have any responsibilities.
Okay. Were you getting paid?
Getting paid to basically write a thesis, and played on an amateur basketball team over there.
That's awesome.
So we'd go around and play Bahrain. We'd go and play, other schools.
Who were you playing?
They honestly, the level of basketball skill over there was not very good. So we would play small college teams, maybe high school teams. And, their majority sport is soccer. So, there was actually some guys who came over from Lebanon who were pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's smoky in soccer.
Oh yeah.
Not on the court.
Yeah.
Using their hands.
Yeah.
Shooting.
Yeah.
And if anybody's watching this, Nate's really good at basketball. He's got a sweet jumper. Some nice post moves too. Okay, so you come back and you move out to Midland, Odessa, right?
Yeah. So my dream was to go work for ExxonMobil in Iran and Iraq because they were opening up projects there.
You wanted to work in the Middle East?
Yeah. I wanted to work for Exxon. They were the largest oil and gas company in the world. Mm-hmm. And I wanted that on my resume, and I wanted to work overseas, not only for the pay, but just for the experience. Yeah. But it was really tough to get hired and go through Exxon's multiple levels of entry internationally. Okay. So I dog-sitted for a professor, and that professor happened to be really good friends with Tim Dunn, who was a CEO of an oil and gas company in Midland. He goes, "Hey, Nathan, if you get back to the U.S. and you don't have a job, let me know. I can hook you up." And so,
which company was that? Can you say?
It's a company called Crown Quest Operating.
Okay.
And Tim has done really well. In fact, he just came out and made the Fortune 400 billionaires list or whatever, along with one other guy there in Midland, and spent 10 years there.
Okay.
So just loved it. Really good family. Really, they were private equity backed. Really good organization, and God's blessed them. And so I learned a lot of my leadership skills, or lack thereof, or weaknesses, while I spent 10 years there. Yeah.
That's awesome. And then, let's get into your business now, Comfort Keepers. How do you go from petroleum engineering in Midland, Odessa to Comfort Keepers in Denver, Colorado?
Yeah. So I just got to a point. I loved my first 5 years of the company. My last 5 years were more frustrating. I realized I was never going to go up the ranks anymore. It was a family owned company.
Oh,
Plus, I always had a desire to kind of want to work for myself.
okay.
And I had a 2 year non compete in the oil and gas space. So all those things kind of came together. And then COVID kind of hit. We laid down all of our drilling rigs. We laid down all of our frac crews. And I was in a cubicle doing calculations. And I was like, what am I doing? And turns out when there's COVID, nobody travels. Nobody's, using gasoline to fly around the country
Yeah.
or drive to, vacation spots.
And did the price of oil just plummeted?
The price of oil did plummet. So on the WTI, price of oil went down to, it got as low as negative $37 a barrel. And so it just crushed
I remember
the
that
oil
now, yeah.
industries. And kind of ironic is, at least in Texas and in the oil and gas business, there's a lot of pull yourself up by the bootstraps type mentality. And when the COVID hit, a lot of these guys who were like, keep the government out, we don't want any kind of support, they were all of a sudden going back to the government and being like, please help us,
Yeah.
prop up the oil and gas price. And so I just kind of found that kind of funny.
Yeah.
That so
The
quickly,
hypocrisy.
so quickly things had changed.
Yep.
And so I took that moment.
It's privatized profits and socialized losses, right?
That's exactly
It's
right.
like all the everyone, when we're raking it in, doing really good, we want to keep all our profits. We don't want to pay any taxes. As soon as they're taking a loss, they're like, we need you guys to help us, bail us out. Let the taxpayers' dollars, fund us. So it is a lot of hypocrisy in that.
Yeah. So, so anyway, I used that time to just figure out, okay, I know I want to work for myself. It can't be in the oil and gas space, and I don't want to start a business from scratch. That's too hard. My twin brother, who we spoke about earlier, lived in San Antonio. He works for a senior home care business. He owns it.
Okay.
A franchise part of Visiting Angels.
Okay.
So down in the Bernie, San Antonio area. And then some other of his friends and business partners do that all over the country.
Cool.
And so that's
So
how I knew
you
of
were
the space.
familiar. Yeah, you were familiar with the space.
Yep.
Okay.
I knew that I could provide for my family, pay down debt if I ran it well. And then I just didn't want to get in their space, competing against them. And, I met my wife while they were in Midland at First Baptist Church. It took me about a year to get the courage up to ask her out. Had to do it from another friend who worked for
Aw.
her mom.
That's adorable, man.
Ended up, I called her the first time and was like, hey, do you want to go out on a date with me Friday night? She's like, I can't. I'm hanging out with my mom. And so I was like, she's just not that interested in me.
She's like, I got to wash my hair.
Yeah. And so, but anyway, she was like, well, how about next week? And so anyway, we ended up dating and marrying. And then we were in Midland, probably at that time, maybe 3 or 4 years into marriage. And we were somewhat newly married, and I had a good job and stability, and we had a kid on the way. And she's like, why would you want to leave a perfectly good job and go risk and do this?
Was there stability during COVID though, or were you worried about losing your job?
I would say 90% of the industry, people were worried about leaving their job. But that's why I would go back and say that the people I worked for and the company I worked for, I had no fear of losing my job.
Gotcha.
They were just going to reorganize us into doing Excel projects, doing different things for the company long term, which I appreciated, but which I also did not like.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So appreciate the loyalty and the willingness to make sacrifices to keep everybody on, but also not what you want to do.
Yeah. Which, they gave me loyalty and I turned around and left them. So I didn't really
I'm sure
reciprocate
they
that.
understand though. I mean, good leaders understand that. Like, you raise people up, and there's only so far, especially in a company like that, when they can only go so high. Like, you kind of understand when a person gets to a certain level, skill level, leadership level, and they want to move on to different opportunities. I mean, except you, Justin. Don't ever leave me. Please don't ever leave me. No. Anyways, okay. So, how did you find out about Comfort Keepers? It's technically like a franchise.
Yeah, so it is a franchise. We're a franchise just like Visiting Angels or Home Instead, some of the other
And maybe
competitors in our space.
this would be a good time to just give us like the elevator pitch of what you do and the services you provide.
Sure. So we are senior in-home care. So think of your grandmother, your grandfather. They're elderly. They've been in their home for 50 years. They need some help, but they don't want to really go move into a senior care facility or a community. So they will pay us or companies like us to come in and help them do light housekeeping or cooking of the food or take them to doctor's offices. We'll do anything from as small as a 3-hour shift to a 24-hour shift, 7 days a week.
Oh, wow.
And so we go out and we basically, our job is when we're doing it right, we're trying to find a great personality match. And we go out and hire caregivers, CNAs or certified nurse assistants, and RNs. So we have a medical and a non-medical license. And if we can find a good match where the personalities fit, then that's really where we provide value in the market space.
That's great, man. Yeah, because there's a huge need for that too. As we have an aging population, right? I mean, is that part of the thing that attracted you to this business industry?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the baby boomers are aging. You look at any kind of statistics in 2030 or 2050, that population segment, which is 65 or older, is what we target, and our average client age is probably closer to 80. But there's only going to be more of that segment in the next decade and 2 decades. So we've got a nice tailwind.
And how big is your staff right now?
Yeah, so we've got about 200 employees.
Okay.
Spread out among 3 offices:
Wow.
South Denver, Castle Rock, and Colorado Springs. We've got some really great office staff and general managers.
200 employees? Wow.
But most of those are out in the field working. So
Yeah.
I've got about 10 office staff and have general managers in each office, and just feel really fortunate with how well they run the office, their skill set, their leadership. And then we've got some great employees out in the field, caregivers, CNAs, RNs.
And so you bought the business in 2020?
Yeah. So
mid-pandemic.
Yep. So we used so it's kind of a God thing, honestly. I was at my last job, really kind of unsatisfied. My boss had asked me to do something, and I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to go train this new engineer. But then I felt like the Holy Spirit was like, he's your boss. Just do what he's asking. So I went and I trained this engineer out in the frac van all day. This was right in the beginning of 2020 when this thing called COVID was coming in. Later that night, that engineer talks to my boss, and it's like, hey, I spent time with my dad all weekend long. He was exposed to COVID. I was exposed to COVID. I may have exposed you to COVID. Our HR department was like, well, we don't want you to expose the rest of the company, so stay away from the company for 10 days. So on my way home, I went by Barnes & Noble and bought a franchise book, just of all the franchises in a magazine all across the country. Anything from tea franchise to coffee franchise to food and beverage franchise to home health franchise.
So at this point, you already knew that you wanted to have your own business, but you didn't want to start anything from scratch.
Didn't want to start anything from scratch.
So that's why you went and you were looking for a franchise.
Yep. And my wife was like, no, I don't, we're safe. We're secure here. I found a senior home care franchise that was the right size to allow me to pay down debt and basically provide for my family. And I picked it to where it was close to her mom. Her mom lives in Denver.
Okay.
So I was like, well, what if we move to Denver? Will you be on board if we do that? You'll be close to your mom. She can help out with the kids. She's like, yes.
Check. Yeah.
So, and then God kind of lined up the financing. I had a 401k that had built up over 10 years. We used a rollover for business startup. How
does that work?
Type of transactions where you basically, I pay this company $5,000. They take any kind of 401k money that you have, and you can technically you can use it until you get past 65. Okay. But you can take that to go put as a down payment towards a business.
Oh, okay.
So we combined that with an SBA 7A loan, which are government-backed loans. 70, 80% of it's backed by the government, which banks like. It allows you to, a first-time business owner with no background.
Right.
It's difficult to qualify. So use those 2 instruments to basically buy Comfort Keepers here in Denver.
How big was it when you acquired it?
Yeah, we had about 60 employees.
Wow.
And then through a process of organic growth, and then buying out other owners in Castle Rock and Colorado Springs, we've been able to triple that in about 3 years.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's really fast growth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that scary?
It's fun.
Yeah. You feel like you have the systems in place to continue that growth?
I mean, I'm not a great systems guy. It's not one of my strengths, but I am I love working with small teams. That's what I took from engineering to something completely different into senior home care is love working with small teams. I love checking in, delegating, and then checking back up, and then hiring talent. And now, I can run my own profit and loss statement. I can run my own balance sheet. If I want to hire someone, I can. If I want to fire someone, I can. And previously at the other company, I couldn't.
Yeah.
It felt kind of like I had my hands tied behind my back, and I couldn't make a lot of those decisions. And if I mess up, it's on me.
Yeah. Isn't that scary though?
It's scary and fun.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I feel the same thing. I'm on a much smaller scale. Having 200 employees, that would be scary for me. So you have 3 different offices, and you have like a fleet of vehicles as well. Do you guys have, or everyone uses their own vehicle?
yeah, everyone uses their own vehicle.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, I'm a cheapskate. And,
I don't think that makes you a cheapskate. It makes you smart, probably.
I inherited in the first business purchase, I inherited this '07 Chevy Uplander van that had like the paint falling off, had oil dripping and leaking everywhere. Like I rode that thing into the ground for 3 years.
Did it have like a wrap? Did it have?
It had a wrap. But the wrap was peeling off.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. I think I saw that. Okay.
No, if you saw it, you would never forget it. Like
do you feel like it represented your business well?
No.
Okay.
But it represented something.
Sure.
And I wasn't going to go buy anything else at the time because I had a lot of other debt payments and things to do.
You're like, I just got to make this thing work.
Yeah. And then there again, God kind of provided on our last purchase when we bought Castle Rock. That owner had a 2020 CRV wrapped.
Okay.
And it was like, it came with it. And I was like, oh my goodness.
Yes.
Like this only has like 16,000 miles. It doesn't leak oil
That's
everywhere.
basically
The
brand
wrap's
new.
not falling off.
Yeah.
And it's got all wheel drive. I'm from Texas. Like I've been trying to drive up here with 2-wheel drive like the last 3 years.
Oh, no.
So it was awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. That's great. So what's the I want to talk a little more details about your business, about what you guys provide and what you feel like, because it is unique what you guys do. Probably, like we're going through this with my wife's grandmother a little bit. We're not we're not hands on, but we talk to her parents about what's going on, and her aunt, they just moved her into a home, and she has a nice home, but it's like $10,000 a month. And I recognize like it is a privilege to be able that she can afford that. You know what I mean? But it is going to completely drain her finances over the next few years, and they had to like move out of her house, and she was really sad about that. It took a lot of convincing, but she's 93. She got to a point, her husband died like 10 years ago. She just got to a point where like she can't maintain the house. She has another rental property down the street. Her health is not terrible, but it's not great. And she had someone coming into her house, and that worked for a while. But I think she just got to a point where, a lot of her friends had passed away. She just had no community. So it was just time for her to leave, but it is so expensive. And so is this like a little bit cheaper of an option for you guys, or is it because of you guys are doing 24/7 sometimes, does it end up being about the same?
Yeah, just in general, like if you were to compare us, head to head with a senior care facility, we're going to be more expensive.
Okay.
And we really cater more towards those who have the ability to pay to stay at home.
Gotcha.
And to be honest, Denver's one of the craziest markets in the country in terms of state minimum wage, Denver minimum wage. I mean, so it really, those expenses and costs get passed on to the client.
Okay.
So, like for us, we charge $39 an hour.
Wow.
So you do the math on that, and that can get pretty expensive pretty quickly. So we have private pay clients. We have clients that have long-term care insurance.
Okay.
We don't take any kind of Medicare, Medicaid. We used to do, but we don't anymore, just because the reimbursement rate is so low. It's hard to make a profit there.
Okay.
So yeah, that's, and then we work with a lot of veterans through the VA administration.
Okay.
So that's kind of our core business.
But that one does make financial sense to go through the VA.
It does. So the VA reimbursement here in Denver is really robust.
And so it's more expensive because they're getting that one-on-one care.
Yeah. So we're one-on-one care. That's right. So like if your loved one was in a senior care community, they may have, the ratio of staff to the number of clients there is going to be really, really small. So we are 1-to-1. And so that does and we're intimate in your home. We come to you. So that makes us a little bit different.
Cool. Yeah. That's great, man. And then, so what are your goals? Are you looking to expand even further?
Yeah. So, my main goal is, Warren Buffett is a kind of a role model of mine. We'll never do anything on the level that he's done, but how he's run his business, how he's had such a great return on capital over 50 years. There's never been kind of a scandal that's knocked him down or knocked him out of the game. So our main goal is to treat people well. We want to provide jobs that people enjoy coming to work, and we also want to have a nice return on equity or return on invested capital. And so to do that, we'll probably do that through organic growth, and then also through acquisitions of other companies, whether in home care or outside home care, and specifically targeted in the Denver and the Colorado Springs and Castle Rock markets.
Okay. Are there any like what you're doing, like adjacent businesses that you're looking at getting into as well?
We could do adjacent. I'm mainly focused on size, scaling up on size based on our EBITDA, and then a multiple up of being able to basically 3x our EBITDA through acquisitions. And then my main model is basically work on getting really good talent and managerial skills in at the leadership level, and then just really coaching them, and that trickles down. My model is you bring in a really good general manager, a really good staff that trickles down to the rest of the organization. You treat them well, they treat you well, and usually that expands into the rest of the business.
How do you find those people?
It's tough.
Yeah.
I think, for us, God's really blessed us. So one of my really great GMs, she came through the Comfort Keeper network, came from South Carolina.
Okay.
And just, she was moving to Denver, and, basically right when we needed a general manager, essentially, another really good general manager we found through Indeed, right? We spend, last year, I think we spent $60,000 on Indeed trying to hire. And she came in and worked on an hourly basis and proved herself. And then within, a very short period of time, she had worked herself up into the general manager position. So and I would say, grit is really one of the characteristics we look for. Do they have grit? And
how do you know if they do or not?
It usually takes about 6 months because people can fake it.
How do you define grit?
Grit is being able to stare at an obstacle that can take you down or take you out. And maybe it does take you down, but then you're able to get back up, and you go through it, around it, over it. And that can be in your personal life. That can be in your business life. And that's how I define it.
That's great.
Yeah.
I think that's a good definition. Makes sense, especially in the business world. Yeah. And in personal life as well. So, cool. All right. Let's land this plane.
Okay.
I got some rapid fire questions. These are more fun. I like to end on a little fun note.
Perfect.
So, all right. You ready?
Let's do it.
All right. You get to go to one sporting event, best tickets in the house. What is it? Where are you going?
Probably the Masters on a Sunday.
Ooh, that'd be good.
Yeah.
You got the whole week. The Masters just happened. I didn't know about the this famous menu. It looked delicious though, and it's like all super cheap. That's so cool. I love it. I actually watched it for the first time this year. Like sat down and actually watched some of it, and was like, I kind of want to go to the Masters too. It looks amazing. All right, describe your perfect day for me. What are you doing?
I get up, I go play basketball with you up at the rec center. I come back, I get in the hot tub. And then I go into work. Everything's running smoothly. I come home. Wife has a wonderful steak dinner on the table.
All right.
We put the kids to bed, and then we watch a Netflix movie.
Dude, you're such a Texan. Man, you're a simple guy. I like it. I really appreciate that about you. All right, you sleep with socks on or off?
Off.
Yeah, me too.
Too
I can't
sweaty.
stand it. Dude, I can't stand socks.
Yeah.
If I get in bed with socks on, I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
All right, what's your favorite holiday and why?
Christmas.
All right, besides Christmas. Everyone says Christmas because it's the best holiday.
There's presents.
It's the best holiday.
Yeah.
Ooh, that was a deep sigh.
I don't really like Thanksgiving food. Turkey's too dry.
I could kind of
Pecan pie. Pumpkin pie I don't really like.
I can just throw down on like mashed potatoes and gravy, but you can have that any time of the year.
Yeah. It's really just Christmas. I don't think there is another holiday for me.
Really? I'm a big July 4th guy.
Oh, okay.
I mean, like hot dogs, popsicles, fireworks, outdoor like yard games.
Well, and so we usually are at the lake in Texas on the 4th of July. So now that you mention it, 4th of July.
Yeah. Fireworks, man. That's super fun. All right. This is a weird question because I have a feeling you're going to say no, but any celebrity crushes?
Just my
You,
wife.
yeah. I knew you were going to say that. You respect your wife too much. That's hilarious. Yeah, my wife, if I had asked her that, she'd be like, "Oh, here's my top 10. Do you want my top 10 or top 100 list?" All right. Somewhere you've never been but you want to go. You seem like a world traveler.
I'd like to go to Switzerland.
Yeah.
Yeah, ski the Alps and kind of pretend to live that life for a while.
Are you a big skier?
I mean, I like to. I'm not that great.
Yeah.
You know who's really good is a Rom.
Really?
He's fantastic. Yeah.
That's cool.
I went up and skied with him a day this last ski season, and he and his son are both really good skiers.
How old is his son?
Like 4.
Okay.
I mean, he's a little bit older than that, but
Yeah.
he's like maybe 5 or 6.
A little child.
Yeah, on a ski
And just
team.
tearing it up.
That's the difference between Texas and Colorado. In Texas, you're like, oh, are y'all going to play soccer this weekend? You know, a little kids league.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah. Here, they're like, yeah, we're going up to the mountains, and my kid's on a ski race team, and you know, like,
Yeah.
these are going to be in the Olympics
My
in
kid
4 years.
my kid has a ski race. Yeah, that's hilarious. All right. Thinking back on your life, do you have a favorite year and why?
I'd say this year,
Really?
from a standpoint that,
We're only like 4 months in.
yeah, I'm doing the thing I've always wanted to do, which is own my own business, work for myself. God's blessed me with a wife. We now live in a house instead of a rental house. We're at least own part of our house, a mortgage anyway.
Sure, yeah.
He's blessed us with a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and one on the way, and I'm not scared I'm going to go bankrupt tomorrow. So
Yeah.
and we're getting plugged in at Cherry Hills Community Church, which we're finding friends and relationships. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Cool. All right. Last thing, any book recommendations for me and for anyone watching this?
Oh gosh,
You seem like a reader.
I've been on it. I go in spurts, but I have been on a reading tear recently. Phil Towns, he's written a few books along with his daughter about investing in the stock market that have been really interesting. I'm reading a couple biographies on Warren Buffett, Snowball.
Okay.
And then there's another autobiography on him that I'm working through. And then on my list coming up is a biography on Sam Walton from Walmart.
Yeah.
And then R.G. Letourneau, Moving Mountains and Men.
Yeah.
Just finished that
The inventor,
one.
right?
The inventor of...
He famously lived off of like 10% of his salary, right?
Yeah.
Or his income.
Yeah, he flipped it. He said, hey, I'll give 90% away and
That's
live on
wild.
10. And one of the greatest mechanical minds of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did he did like big machinery, right?
Yep. In fact, 70% of the machinery and equipment that got our troops over to D-Day in World War II was basically built and delivered by his company.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What a genius, man. That's incredible. Awesome. Well, thank you for your time.
Yes,
That's
sir.
it. We're done here.
Awesome.
Appreciate you. Where can people find you?
They can go to comfortkeepers.com.
Okay.
Or they can Google Comfort Keepers and see our plethora of ads out there. And we're happy to hire them if they're looking for a job, or go bring them comfort in their home.
Is there any area specifically you're really looking for? Nurses or just...
Always looking for caregivers, probably is their number one need, CNAs, and then part-time RNs.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks, man.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you.